Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Energy Speaks Back, powered by B2B Energy. My name is Paul Webb, the founder of B2B Energy, and I'm also your host. Each week, I bring to you energy experts from around the world. This is episode 180. Our purpose, as always, is to provide a good understanding of energy management knowledge from around the world, which is available today for us to deliver savings that impact on our planet. Welcome, energy enthusiasts, to another enlightening episode of Energy Speaks Back. In this episode, we interview another inspiring individual who has dedicated his life to advancing sustainable energy solutions and driving ISO 50001 through people. From his early passion in the industry to leading impactful ventures across the globe, he continues to be a powerful voice in shaping our sustainable future. Our conversation explores the inspirational journey of passion and leadership through people, and a journey driven by commitment to reducing energy consumption across a large organisation. It's a story of how true results come not from technology alone, but from engaging, empowering people to take ownership, collaborating and making energy efficiency part of the culture. So without any further ado, let's lead the people with Michael McGowan. Good afternoon, Michael. How are you today?
I'm absolutely fine, Paul, thank you. I'm in the nice sunshine in the Isle of Lewis at the moment.
Yes, we just mentioned about this sun, and you right, is that as far as you can go in Scotland, or?
On the west side is probably as far as you can go on the west coast of Scotland, but you've got Orkney and Shetland above, who's a bit
Right.
further. But we tend to get the bad weather fronts coming in if they're going to hit anywhere, they hit here first.
Yeah, and the Western Front as such. And
But life is what you make of it.
yes. And how long you've been there? You've been there many years?
About five, coming up in 5 years now.
Right. And I know when we discussed, because we met recently, didn't we, in London, and we was talking
Yeah,
about the journey, and you have quite a significant journey to get to somewhere like London, don't you?
I do, yeah, because you take a ferry or you can fly, but I took the ferry because I was with my motorhome.
Right.
We stayed in Glasgow. Wife went and visited family, and I
Nice.
flew down to London. Thoroughly enjoyed that day, and then meeting up with people like yourself
Yeah.
who are passionate about both energy and carbon and all that type of thing. It's a great day out.
And I was shocked because I was standing talking to someone, and you come and tap me on the shoulder, and I turn around, and there you was. And you know, it's lovely, isn't it? Because we've only really met at the ENCO conferences, haven't we, and the meetings, and so
Yeah, and
built
I've
that
seen you
relationship.
online quite a few times, more than a few times probably, but we do know each other, and there's an admiration there for people like yourself who are still out there doing it, making a
Yeah,
difference.
brilliant. Well, I know a lot about you because I've seen all your case studies and what you've been doing, and obviously we've got to know each other over a period of time. But for the benefit of today's audience, could you give us some details about your background and how you actually arrived into this industry?
Well, obviously, my name's Michael McGowan, and I left school before I was 16, actually. I had no qualifications, and I started life out as a labourer in the brick industry. And I thought, I can't do this the rest of my life. So I went and educated myself in my adulthood,
Right.
and I thoroughly enjoyed that. So many, many years down the line, I've started out as a charge hand, supervisor, became manager, all that sort of thing. I've now got a diploma in open learning management, a diploma in business management, and I've got a master's degree, a Master of Science degree in sustainability and environmental management as well.
Oh, wow.
And I've also got a degree in energy management.
All right.
Uh,
Now,
but
that's
still
one
enjoying my
thing I
journey.
didn't know about you.
Did you know it? Oh, right,
No.
okay.
Well done for that.
Yeah, and believe it or not, it's not something I tell everyone, but my wife taught me how to do joined up writing.
Wow.
I couldn't do that.
Really?
Just the type of life people have. But I
Yeah.
always knew that I had some sort of intelligence here. And then there was one guy in life that took me under his wing and said to me, and sort of guided me for a couple of years. And he became like a mentor when I was very young in my teens. and he helped make a difference. And his philosophy stuck with me the rest of my life.
Brilliant. That's a really good story. Interestingly, you was laying bricks and then you started to manufacture them.
Yeah,
That's an interesting sort of transition, isn't it?
it is because you get to work with people and then you realise that you can do things differently, but you can't do those things differently as the person actually laying the bricks or packing the bricks or doing something like that. So my aim was to always to become a manager and be able to make a difference to people so
Yeah.
they could make their life easier and get them a bit more educated as well.
And you
And
mentioned the travel uh, van as such, your caravan or whatever you're traveling. Have you
yeah,
traveled the world much?
yeah, oh yeah, I've travelled the world. I've been to America I've lost count many times I've been there, mainly down the eastern seaboard. Done very little in Europe, apart from doing some kayaking and cycling and things like that. And I've done work in Europe as well.
Right.
And I've done a bit of work in America for a company that was owned by the company I worked for. And just for background, Paul, so you know, I've been in the industry for 47 years before I retired. Well, mostly retired. I do a lot of consultancy.
Yeah, yeah,
And I worked for Ibstock, PLC for the last 30 years, so I did in my working life. And mainly I was responsible for quality, environment, energy, and social, and a bit of governance at the end there as well, helping to
yeah.
implement strategies around energy management and also net zero.
When did you first start to get into energy? When was that first sort of time?
There was a bit in the early 2000s.
Right.
And then in 2006, I think, no, 2005, I was asked to take the remit for the whole group in the UK. And you know, in the first year, I'm a data person and look at detail. And it seemed the first year, I saved the company over 350 grand, maybe £500,000 a year,
Wow.
just by looking at the detail of an invoice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
People just get the invoice and pay it. And it still happens amazingly
Yeah.
today, doesn't it? I bet you see it still today.
Do you know when I see a bill, I see pound notes.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah.
It's the
Because I know
detail.
there's going to be something in that bill that I can probably make
Yeah.
a difference to. Yeah.
And it's whether the energy companies, they're not conning you, but they're just not telling you the truth, or they're just giving you a bill and hoping that you'll accept it without question.
Yeah.
And to me, you never go without questioning a bill.
No. I always find when the actual bill itself is generated by a computer, it's checked by the computer as such. So when it hits the customer's desk, it hasn't had no interaction with a human being to make it realize, reality check on it. And then, and that is when we then start seeing these bills getting paid automatically.
Yeah.
There needs to be a check. And I'm not
Eh,
saying that the suppliers are doing this on purpose. They've got so many. They've got, I call it the sausage factory. Sausage
Yeah.
data comes in, they convert it to a bill, and the bill systems are. I've got 101 probably stories we could talk about on billing.
Oh, yeah. But it's down to us as the end users to do that
Yeah,
checking.
yeah,
And do you know that's a scary thing because you talk about AI coming in, artificial intelligence. That could be a big worry in terms of billing because artificial intelligence won't tell you where it's going wrong.
no, no. Unless you tell it to look for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've
But
got to
some,
know. It's like everything with AI. You put the right information into it first of all, you possibly will get the right information back out. That's what I believe. So
yeah,
I'm using AI to a client's just given me 1,000 bills. For me to go through every one of those bills, it's time consuming. So what we do is we just get it to rename. I think this is the ridiculous thing. I rename all the bills. When a customer sends me all their bills and they've got all different names on, we don't
yeah,
know what building they are, we don't know what date is, who the supplier. It's a simple thing. We just change all the names of the bills and align them very
yeah.
quickly, and then you can put them into the folders, and then you can start to see. You know, I found sites where they haven't even billed or they haven't got a bill for it. It's
Which
crazy.
is absolutely scary. Now you take both gas and electric. So if you take a gas invoice, there's only three or four component parts to a gas invoice.
Yeah,
Whereas an electricity invoice can have as much as 20,
many.
23 sort of
Yeah,
component parts to it. And that's where the detail as you say, use AI, but UI at the end of it is important to look at
yes, Yeah,
any commonality of errors or something there that's
yeah.
missing.
What was the driver for you to get into energy in the beginning from your organization?
Well, I go back to being sustainable because I've always cycled all my life, and where I could, I always cycled back and forward to work.
Right.
And then at home as well, you always think, why are all the lights on and blah, blah, blah. My wife's famous for opening the window even when the heating's on, that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
I've got Wi-Fi
So,
there.
so that passion's always been there to
Yeah,
do that. And I've always done that in the workplace as well. Look at what can we do to be different? How can we reduce our energy consumption? Yeah, you get savings for the business, but it's not just about that. It's about carbon as well, and it's all about the climate as well, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
And the climate change is not new. It's been there for a long time.
yeah. In the early days, we didn't call it energy management, we called it energy conservation.
Yes, of course.
And I think it's strange that we've now called it management because really it is conservation of the planet, you know?
Yeah, and I prefer that terminology. It's much
Yeah,
better.
yeah. I think we've changed it to word management because reduce your consumption reduces cost. That's the story we're trying to get over now.
Yeah, and going back to when we met last week there down at the ENCO conference, it's people that make a difference.
Yeah,
And if you don't get through that behavioural change or education of
yeah,
people to
100%.
help make a difference, even with artificial intelligence, you will still have people involved.
Yeah,
And if they're not doing the right thing or have that standardization that you need, then it will still fail or fall down somewhere.
yeah. And even, the sort of things we've already been talking about is turn off, turn down.
Yeah,
Simple. Keep it simple, you know?
yeah,
And if you're keeping stuff simple with people, it follows through, doesn't it? You would achieve it very, very
yeah.
quickly.
I'll give you an example, Paul. Many years ago, one of the factories I worked at, they had a bit of intelligence put in, and it was called like a hoitronic. And what it does is measure moisture content of a raw material going in, and it was critical because it was only added in about 1%, and it was like a cold derivative that was being added. So the operator and the supervisor just thought, okay, technology's in there, I don't have to worry about that. But no one thought about that hoitronic or that bit of technology going wrong. Now, 3 or 4 million bricks later, that was all the wrong colour. Someone went and checked. The Hoitronic was failing. It was
Wow.
measuring moisture more than it should and saying there wasn't enough. And it was kept adding more and more of this body fuel. And if it wasn't for someone going doing a physical check, they wouldn't have known that that Hoitronic went. So they then put an alarm on the Hoitronic. So you've got the technology with an alarm on it. So as it
Yeah, yeah,
sends a signal up to say there's potential a flag here.
yeah. And was that costing money in the process?
Well, it's not, yes, the money is one part, and then you've got all the wasted energy because you've used all that energy, the extra byproduct or the biochar going in, and then you've got to remake the products again as well.
Yeah. How many buildings do you have dotted around the UK?
The PLC business was made up of two parts, so a concrete division and a clay division. And at that time when I worked for them, we had about 44 factories spread out the UK.
Wow, 44.
Yeah.
Wow.
And 23, 24 of them were clay brick making factories.
Right. Because
So you can imagine the amount of energy being used on the
yeah,
clay brick side of it, because 90% of the energy consumption was gas.
right. Because that's a lead question because what I liked in your presentation the other week was the word standardization, and you introduced standards, didn't you, across the
Yeah,
group, which was successful in one area. So why didn't you do it in other areas? That's what.
it, the key thing there, Paul, was it makes you think, because when we had an environmental system, ISO 14001, we had what's called EPROX, environmental procedures,
Right.
but there was nothing for energy. So when ISO 50001 came along, that's when I looked at standardization of key things like motors and drives,
Yeah. Yeah.
lighting, compressed air, anything related to energy or energy consumption. And that made a huge difference. But the key is making sure that you pilot it first, learn the
Yeah.
lessons. Because if you go global with 44 factories, well, the chances are you're going to fail.
Mm.
But a key part and fundamental part of that was behavioural change.
Right.
And it all went along with that. So we integrated ISO 50001 into the 14001 system to make it easier,
Yeah, yeah.
rather going around everyone saying, right, we have to introduce a new system. But as you say, it's an add-on to a current system, and we're already doing a little bit of it, but it's just to make it a bit more professional, and it standardises things for the whole business as well.
And there's not many organisations with the ISO 50001, is there, in the UK?
No, there isn't. But honestly, it makes a huge difference to a business. And to me, it's the focus on people that makes a difference. And I
Have
know I
you?
didn't say it when I was doing the presentation. If you've got a manufacturing business using machines, you know exactly those machines are using X amount of energy, and you know the big energy users. And to me, it's the people. So as part of 50,001, we identified significant energy users as people rather than the machines, because an operator knows how to use a machine, and if he's not using it correctly, you're wasting energy.
Mm,
And that's a key thing. So we had two categories: a significant energy user using the machine that used the most energy, and
yeah,
an all energy user, like an operator of something smaller. And he got a different type of training, whereas a significant energy user, like a mechanic or an electrician, they get more in-depth training.
right. And guess what? You standardise that across the whole of the group.
It is, and then it went on to everyone's what's called a skills matrix. So everyone in the factory will have a skills matrix to say they can operate these machines. They've done their environmental training, they've done their energy training, and blah 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 all the way down. So that became part of that. And then energy and all the other aspects were also discussed at an individual's
Yeah.
appraisal, whether that be quarterly or annually.
How far down does the skills matrix go? Does it go down to, say, receptionists, cleaners?
That in the factory, yeah, it covered everyone.
Right.
And then gradually after that, and I believe so now, that everyone in the business has a skills matrix.
Brilliant. Which
And
somewhere on that skills metrics will have energy or environment
yeah,
or both.
absolutely.
Right.
And we even done it so when you do an induction for a new employee, energy,
Fantastic.
carbon, water, all this type of thing is
Yeah.
all part of the induction package as well. And then if you've got a contractor on site,
Right.
as part of the contractor's rules and guidance and as part
Fantastic.
of
Love
their
it.
risk assessment. So energy has to be taken into cognisis.
Yeah. And presumably there's a employee handbook, which will
Yeah,
obviously have that carbon copy straight into them sections will be in their handbooks as well.
absolutely. Yeah, and the thing I love when I left Ibstock as well, communication is so important. And communication is a key part of ISO 50001 as well. The Ibstock now got what's called Ibstock Informed. And
Yeah.
then every so often, it's probably every month or every 2 months, whatever it is, every single employee has got the chance and the opportunity to sit and watch the board of directors and other people give a presentation, talk about how the business is doing. You're allowed to put questions to them either before, during, that type of thing, a
Yeah.
part of Ibstock Informed. And at the factory level, there's tiered meetings, so tier one, two, three, four. So the tier one meeting will be a morning meeting where the whole shift gets together, talks about what happened the day before,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
do they need to do that day, and what do they need to plan for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then tier two is a bit more higher level. It starts the strategy side of it, and then you go into up to tier four, where it's directors and different people meeting, talking about strategy as well.
And presumably you have customers that will come into your business and they're looking at all this sort of stuff. Did they ask for it before or do they now get it? Do you know, was it chicken and egg or was it pull or push or pull basically on the business?
I think the business I work for was market leader.
Right,
So we were the first in our industry to do it.
right,
And one of the reasons I know that as well is because myself, I was the chairperson or the chairman of the industry body, the British Ceramic Confederation, for many
right,
years.
right.
And when we're talking about ESOS, the Energy Saving Opportunity Scheme, or 50,001,
Yeah,
and I knew they were all deliberating, looking at going down the easy route. But I persuaded board of directors to go down the proper route, 50,001,
Yeah.
where it was focused on people. And that's where you get the biggest energy saving from.
And do you have sort of rough figures on how much money that you quoted some figures earlier, but do you know roughly how much monies that has been saved year on year regarding this process?
Or it's in the hundreds of thousands.
Right.
There isn't an exact number you wouldn't be allowed to say because of
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I just
commercial sensitive information.
indicative savings, hundreds of thousands of
Yeah,
pounds.
but yeah, and if you look at the actual energy saving itself, you look at the case study, it says
Yeah.
as a business overall, we've say they saved 17%.
Wow. And
Uh,
so if you then looked at payback for a business on that very, very short payback period, yeah?
yeah, there's paybacks on different things, and paybacks are a funny thing to me because if you look at net zero and climate change,
Hmm.
that's changed paybacks because you would never get anything through a finance director unless it was 2 years or less.
Yeah.
So some projects like lighting, you sometimes you get a 3 month or a 9 month or a 1 year payback. That sails through no problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes for bigger projects like changing massive motors and drives across a whole swathe of factories, that's a bigger payback and longer. And it's just convincing the financial directors that to get to net zero, you've got to accept that there's more than a 2 year payback. So
Yeah.
the mindset has changed
Yeah.
with directors as well.
And you think you're on a good sort of getting to net zero? You're on a good path? Are you close to net zero now?
As a business, no, you're not close. I think it's going to take at least another 15 years.
Right.
What people have got to remember is it took us hundreds of years to get into the mess that the world's in.
Yeah.
And forcing business down a route in such a short period of time can have some sort of disasters with it that goes with it. Now, I'm not criticising government, but the policy that Ed Miliband's pushing will not reduce costs for businesses. That will increase costs, not just for businesses, but
Yeah.
every household in the UK. But in terms of getting Ibstock to net zero, when I left the business, we had a clear strategy to get to net zero by 2045. And there's a clear pathway. There's more than one pathway to get there because I'll look at it, it's like there's a big mountain up there
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
called net zero.
Yeah.
And there'll be different pathways to it.
Yeah.
And it's what pathway you choose carefully to get
Yeah.
there because if sometimes you take the wrong pathway, it'll cost you a lot of money.
Yeah. To reverse
Because,
back and go up the other way.
yeah, because you know, Paul, the reality is every business is there to make money. We're in a competitive
Mm.
world. And if you do not adapt and change and do the right thing, the business will fail.
Yeah.
Now, the business I work for, Ibstock, has got a history going back more than 200 years. And if you want that to continue for a further 200 years,
Yeah.
you have to make sure you take the right pathway.
Yeah. And it's the juggling of the plates as well, the spinning of the plates, because unfortunately, you've got compliance, which we're talking about the government. As long as you're ahead of the curve regarding compliance, then
Yes.
that should be okay. But if you can utilize that being ahead of the curve for cost savings and benefit, you can balance everything then, can't you?
Yeah.
To make sure that you're going to hit all the business targets. We're not just talking about energy, we're talking about turnover, profits,
Yeah, absolutely.
sustainability not in the planet, but sustainability in the business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a good point, sustainability. People think of it differently, don't they?
Yeah,
But sustainable means having a sustainable business that's there for the
yeah,
long term,
yeah,
thinking of the long term future. And this is where governments fail, isn't it? Because governments only think a long term being a parliament 5 years. They don't think
exactly.
2050.
Well, that's why we had Boris making all those promises. It's not just the government period, it's also the government leaders have different
Yes.
approaches. We
Yeah.
had two-step changes in the Conservative Party regarding Boris wanting everything for the votes. They gave in the votes. Then Sunak come in and said, no, 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 let's be realistic. Let's bring the. And now we've got, like, we can't win. All we've got to do is stay on our pathways and work with our
Yes.
organisations, our beliefs.
Yeah. You've got to accept that politics is going to be there.
Yeah,
And that's a pressure that's always going to be there. So if you take Ibstock as a business, and give you an example, they won't be much different from many other big businesses. you have to comply with over 65 pieces of environmental legislation.
Yeah.
You've got standards like ISO 9001 for quality, 14,001 for environment, 6,001 for responsible sourcing. You've got your health and safety ones as well. You've got the 50,001, and then you've got your shareholders to satisfy. So you've got different standards. And so all of this has got to be managed, but you've still
Mm.
got to manufacture your products at an
Yeah.
affordable price for the
Yeah.
end user.
When we talk about the shareholders, you reported, which I think is the important part of your role. You reported at a quite high level. You reported into the board, didn't you?
I did, yes, yeah. I
I
was
think that makes
classed
a big
as
difference, doesn't it?
I was classed as a senior leader in the business,
Yeah.
and I did, yeah. I reported into the board as well,
Yeah.
and I also reported to the subcommittee of the main board, which is the sustainability group,
Mm.
and that was chaired by a non-exec director as well, and attended by non-exec directors. So we used to have to prepare for all that type of thing.
I like the way you approached that role though, because you didn't use it as the big stick. When you were speaking, I like the way you talked about all the different characters in the business in your
Yeah,
presentation
it's
and
your
about how you,
stakeholders.
yeah, and how you worked with them. And you had problems in the whatever part. I won't say what part of the country, but you had a problem in one part of the country, easy in the other part, but you sort of got them to all work together and to
Yeah,
see the competitive side. And I like the way you brought in, oh, that person there's doing the comparison. I always
yeah,
say the comparison is the thief of life, but you need to basically utilize comparison and competitiveness.
yeah.
But you did it quite cleverly and worked with the board to do that. I thought that was very,
Yeah, and it's
very straightforward.
politics, is it? Politics in a business, isn't it?
Yes.
You won't get on with everyone, and you must have that in your own life.
Oh,
You won't get on with a lot of people, but
100%.
you don't. You either put on a front or you make sure you're working for the greater good of the business
Yeah.
to make sure you do the right thing. And to me, I showed the organisational structure, and it's just understanding how everyone operates, what drives them, what matters to them, and how can you influence them. That's the key thing: is how do you influence
Yeah.
that change within them.
Yeah. And how many years you was doing that? 20 years, wasn't you? Is it
Oh, easily,
2005?
yeah,
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
of them here, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was a group role for almost 20 years, yeah, and worked in factories for the rest at other different levels.
Right. I'm going to ask a magic wand question because this has been in my mind ever since we started talking this afternoon. If you had a magic wand and you could sort of wave it, would you like to be an energy manager starting out again back when you started? Or would you like to start all over again today? What would you like to do? Well, where do you think your challenge would be? Would you,
I would like to start out being an energy manager again,
right?
but there's still so much to go at
Yeah, yeah.
across many
Job's not done, is
businesses.
it?
No, it's not done, and it won't be done for many decades. And okay, artificial intelligence is coming, but that's not the panacea. That's not going to change everything.
No.
It's going to take people, and it's going to take. I'm not saying that I'm a great leader, but it's going to take leaders like
Mm,
yourself, people with a degree of intelligence and
mm.
understanding of the wider world and how people operate to help me. So I would like to start out again as energy manager and fix the problems that are still existing.
Are you mentoring people behind you to come forward?
I did, yeah, because a couple of people replaced me when I left, and I was a mentor for them as well. And I still do a little bit of mentoring as well. And I'm also part of what's called the Outer Hebrides Climate Hub.
Right.
And I've just helped pass on my knowledge and share my knowledge with them of what I see in the wider world to help the Western Isles.
Yeah. And obviously you're a big part of the Enco team as well. Being, you know, they bring you down to do your presentations, and you actually
Yeah,
got an award this time, didn't you?
I did, yeah, a Lifetime of Excellence Award.
Brilliant.
And as Jess and John said, I was there at the start 4 years ago, I think it was,
Yeah.
and I seen something in Enco that helped make a difference, and it was that behavioural change part and the
Yeah.
focus on people. And I think Enco is great, and it's going to be even better as you can see it growing slowly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if it's got people that you still involved in me, help sharing and being involved in it, I
Yeah.
think it'll make a huge difference throughout the world.
I've been asked to to attend the training course to do a presentation, which I think's valuable time for me because we're giving back. That's what I want to do, is
Yeah,
give back to the group,
yeah,
you know. And if someone could learn just 1% of what I've said, I think that's I've achieved something, you know.
yeah. I think that's key, and I'm proud of that as well. That's why I went down to Enkel. Uh, okay, there's nothing in it for me,
No.
but what's in it for me is sharing that bit of knowledge that I've got that other people could potentially use.
Mm,
And why I'm speaking to you today is because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy telling people what I've learned and what I'm
yeah.
doing.
Again, it's sharing that knowledge. This goes out
Yeah.
to many energy experts around the world. And I think I always say we all speak different languages, but this story is global. You know, we're doing
Oh,
exactly the
absolutely.
same thing. There's no difference, is there?
Paul, I remember many years ago, I was only 16 or 17, and it stuck in my mind all the time. And I hate people who are in whether it be supervisory management or whatever, and they don't share knowledge. It's my knowledge, and it
Oh,
keeps me in the job longer. And that's always stuck with me since the age of 16 or 17 when I first
same
started.
as me. Yeah.
People hate sharing their knowledge because they think they're going to lose their job. You're not. If you share your knowledge, you'll be a better person, a better manager, and a better leader.
Mm. You probably get promoted as well
Yeah,
to bigger and better.
I'm a testament to that because
Yeah, yeah,
I don't hide anything with anyone. I've got no secrets.
yeah. I come from the BMS world, and the amount of BMS managers or whatever on site, ooh, used to be like this. They wouldn't. I'd ask someone to make an adjustment. They wouldn't, because they had to get that person to do it.
Um,
We're not allowed to touch that, you
yeah,
know. And that's short sighted. You know, you
yeah,
need to be sharing that knowledge. You need to be working with people
yeah. It's
because your
fundamental.
job is protected. That's why I share so much on LinkedIn. I remember someone saying to me once, well, why are you telling everyone how to? Why not? I want to share my knowledge.
It's not doing you any harm.
No, it doesn't. I feel better for it as well.
Yeah,
You know,
and
it's
you're not going
important.
to lose your job for telling someone
No,
or sharing. It's just not going to
yeah.
happen.
And do you know what? There's never, what's the word? You're never sharing the wrong thing. Doesn't matter what you share, you can never share the wrong thing. You know, that knowledge is valuable to anyone or someone listening to that.
Yeah, and another thing always sticks with me, Paul. Used to have when I worked in a factory, you have your team meeting. I'm the manager, and I'm having my team meeting. Some people sit there really quiet and won't say anything. Never will. If you try and get them to talk, they say, I'm only interested in getting my pay on a Friday night, going to the pub. But see, if you speak to them one to one, they open up more.
Yeah.
And it's that understanding people. You won't always get everything at a team meeting. It's knowing the people and talking to them individually. And you get a lot, you find out what their passion is for the business and personally as well.
Mm. I think one thing we've seen as a barrier to that over the years is emails.
Oh,
For me, either pick the phone up or make a point of going to see that particular person. Don't send them an email, because it could come over wrong interpretation of that, or text or WhatsApp or whatever. Face to face or a phone call is what we need, isn't it?
I had a director email me once. I won't name the director or the reason why. But she said I was very rude for not giving the right advice to an individual. I couldn't give the advice because I didn't know what he actually wanted. So rather than email back to him, I picked up the phone and I says, look, I says, I'm not going to go into an email trail with you. I says, but I'm not rude. And I find what you said to me offensive. I says, but if you look at the detail of the email between us, I do not know the answer that he wanted. And you'll see that I told him that. I says, and you won't find it unless you get a specialist in for it. And that individual then apologised. And I says, could you please in future don't start emails. Pick up the phone and speak to someone.
Yeah.
I said, it's the greatest thing, communication.
You need to sometimes count the clock as well, don't you? When
Yeah,
something comes in, take a sip. Don't, and that's what people do nowadays, don't they? They react too quickly to the situation rather than waiting and thinking about it. Because once they've thought about it, they probably think, "Oh, I'll pick the phone up. Might be easier."
yeah. Because that's the thing I was telling you when I was young and that guy took me under his wing a couple of years. He always said to me, Michael, you jump in too quick. He
Right.
says, and you get a bit aggressive in your approach.
Mm.
And this is how you should do it. And that stuck with me. It's sometimes, as you say, Paul, just go in there, sit, find out what's happening in the room first or what's going on, and then have your input and say,
Yeah.
sometimes wait to the end of the meeting and then you can have a bit of dialogue about it.
I would change the word from aggressive to passionate. You're too
Yeah, I like
passionate
that.
about it.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that's what we'd probably say now. That we're too passionate about things.
yeah,
And that's what I get. I get very passionate, and I still sometimes find myself when I'm out on site and it's face to face, and I'm wanting to do something. I'm so passionate about getting it done. You say the wrong things, you know,
yeah,
because you wonder why is that person not wanting to let me do X, Y, Z? Because if I do X, Y, Z, then that's going to be significant savings, and you think I don't really understand, you
yeah.
know.
Because I always remember we got John Mulholland Energy in to do the behavioural change for us. And we asked people if we give you energy graphs and all that, well, fine, but tell us what it costs. So we
Yeah,
put up what the actual cost of energy was, and that surprised everyone. That was the first time that every single employee seen the cost of energy at their factory.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Instead of a KPI graph showing energy consumption or energy whatever, and it's the money part that helped make a difference for a lot of people because
yeah.
money talks.
Do you know? Just after the energy prices started going through the roof because of global incidents as such, I was walking around this particular building, and everyone was saying, "Why are you focusing on energy? What's the big beef?" And then I explained to them exactly how much the energy bill was every month. Then the penny dropped, and then I said, "Have you noticed your energy bills going up at home?" Well, we have a little bit, but not. I said, "Look at your energy bills. Look where they are today compared to where they was. This is why we're doing simple things." I was asking someone to, instead of put the escalator into manual, which run hard 20 sort of throughout the day, put it into eco, so it would just go slow. 50% savings, silly savings, but it all adds up. All these pennies add up.
And it's the cumulative impact of all the different little
Yeah,
savings. That's the key thing.
multipliers, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is where your payback comes in. Some of them are
Yeah.
instant paybacks. Some are 3 months, some nine, some it goes on and on. I'll tell you a funny one as well. People don't think about energy savings in water usage. So one of the factories we had used to use a lot of water. Did two shifts, early shift, back shift. So the guy would come in the morning and it manually turn a valve because obviously the water's pumped onto the side, but it doesn't get used until he turns this valve. So it turns out that the back shift was using 200 or 300% more water than the early shift because the guy in the morning knew that if he turned the valve once or twice, it used the right amount of water. But the guy on the back shift came in and went, turned it for ages, turned it on full. And then it turns out we're paying a lot of money for a lot of water that wasn't needed. But obviously, we've got a pump pumping the water.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you know that investigation? We went and done the investigation, traced it all the way back, went back to the main meter and found out that our meter was also feeding a site next to us. And we were
Wow.
paying next door's bill as well. So if it wasn't for the
It
ISO
wasn't for that.
50001 being installed or
Yeah.
implemented, we wouldn't have known about the water as well.
Isn't it funny how these meters? I've had electricity meters feeding the wrong areas as well, and that's a crazy thing as well, isn't it? When you look at this.
But if it's not for like say yourself or me having a look at those types of things and knowing that it can happen, some factories or businesses just don't look at it.
No,
It's astounding.
I've gone into places and they've had 2 meters, and they've gone, ha ha ha. They're not charging me for that meter, and I've gone, okay. Are you accruing the money just in case? No, no, we don't need to do that. I went, okay. A year or so had gone past, and then the suppliers sent them a bill. They've caught up with them, and it's been ridiculous amounts of money. I've had to try and do, but do you know what normally happens then is the client would pay that bill, bang, 100%. I'll say, no, let's qualify it. Let's get the figures, do the numbers, check it. And then we go back to the supplier and say, look, you haven't billed me for X amount of years. Surely someone's done something wrong here. Can we work together?
Yeah,
And the supplier, as long as he gets paid his money,
he's happy.
is happy. Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. But it goes
It
back to
goes back to
data and
talking,
detail.
doesn't it? It goes back to talking.
Yeah, communication is important,
Yeah.
and you say data and detail matter.
Yes.
If
100%.
you know what your data and your details are, it makes a huge difference in understanding it. You can have millions of data, but if you don't understand it and deal with it,
Yeah.
it means nothing.
It's quite interesting our conversations today because we're both very technical people regarding energy management. We haven't spoke about energy management detail and technology. It's all been people, conversations, communication,
Yeah,
telling the right things, being transparent.
yeah,
It's just all about management of people. It isn't technology, is it?
no, it's people, people, people.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's fundamental.
yeah,
If you get it right with other people, you'll get it right. And that standardization of everything
yeah,
leads to better things in a more sustainable business.
yeah. 100%. So, Michael, it's come to that. I can't believe. I just looked at the timer, thinking, "Well, we need to start getting to the end and such." We could probably extend this for another 40 odd minutes because I know we could talk
Oh,
for this forever.
definitely. Yeah.
So, Mike, it's come to that time in the interview where I'd like to put you on a spot, and you're very experienced. You've got all this under control, I know. Is there anything you can give back to our audience today as a takeaway for our industry?
Yeah, you use the wonders of communication with your colleagues, the people that you know and everything. Just communicate with them, ask them if everything's okay. Do they need help? Can I support you in any way? Whether it be energy management or something personal, doesn't matter. But
Mm.
use communication as a tool. It makes a huge difference to everything that you do in life, whether it be energy, carbon, or just your personal life.
Yeah, 100%. And we can see in your career it's made a significant difference from your case studies that you've done. That has been the whole common denominator of everything you do, isn't it?
It is, and if you look at the business I work for, because of implementing ISO 50001 energy management, we won a behavioural change award with EDI, and I also won an Energy Manager of the Year award.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm anything special, but I'm just a catalyst for getting people together and helping making a
You seem to
difference.
have a habit of collecting all these awards, Michael. You're doing an amazing job.
Yeah, I think again, Paul, it is down to communication and involving people,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Well,
that's a fundamental
I
part.
would say you've done an amazing job in your career and you're
Thank you.
continuing to do an amazing job, I know, because you're still active. And I hope that continues for many years. It's great to have you in the industry. Um, I'm very proud to be associated with yourself and your case study. So thank you very much. And thank you for sharing your story today with us.
Paul, thank you very much, and I really appreciate you having me on your podcast today. It's been a pleasure.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And please, Michael, you and your family, you stay safe in these times.
Thank you very much, Paul. Brilliant.
Thank you to my guest for joining me today on Energy Speaks Back. I'm very proud and humbled to have the opportunity to interview energy experts from around the world, and I hope you found today's episode of value. Don't forget to listen to the previous episodes because they are full of insights to help you make a real impact on energy efficiency. And remember, tiny changes that we make today can bring us profound savings in the future. Together, we can drive change and make a difference. That leaves me with one more thing to say. Please, you and your family, be safe in these times.